Good morning, Ellen. We
Good morning.
we really love your songs and your tutorials that you post on your YouTube channel, and we wanted to ask you some questions about how you do what you do and maybe have a little fun along the way. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Before we start, can you briefly introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Ellen, and I have a YouTube channel called Forever Faithful, where I teach people how to play guitar and just basically music-related things.
Awesome.
Who do you say is your biggest inspiration in the music industry?
I think people who know my social media presence at all would know that I would probably be saying Taylor Swift right now. I've always looked up to her as a songwriter and just as an artist. I think she's grown a lot over her career, and it's just really nice to kind of see someone blossom like that, especially like a woman in the music industry. So I'd have to say Taylor Swift.
That's very
Yeah, a lot of your
nice.
tutorials are about her songs. So,
Yeah, I love her. Yes.
What is your favorite and least favorite thing about being a YouTuber?
I think that I just recently became a full-time YouTuber. So my favorite thing so far has been just being your own boss, being able to make decisions for my channel, for my videos, or whatever I want without having to get it approved by anyone. That's always really nice, as well as just kind of creating my own schedule and, working whenever I feel the most good to work. I think that's my favorite thing, but I think my least favorite thing would be because of that pressure, you really have to be self-motivated. Like there's no boss to give you deadlines or, homework assignments and that kind of stuff. You really have to be aware of what you need to get accomplished and like set your own goals to do that. So for me, that's been a big adjustment because all my other jobs before this have always been, boss tells me to do this, I'm going to do it. So it's been hard to kind of be my own boss a little bit.
That's really nice.
What is the
If
worst
you're-
handling of an instrument that you have seen ever?
What is the what?
What is the worst handling of an instrument you have seen?
That I've seen. I mean, it always kind of hurts my heart when I see people traveling with their guitars or violins or whatever it is they're traveling with, and people who maybe don't know what's in the case, like toss it, that always upsets me. I've seen that happen before on airplanes, like on flights, like looking out the window, you see just people like tossing things like, suitcases, but then they toss like a guitar or something. That always hurts a little bit. The case should protect it, but like, I think that more often than not, people have probably ended up coming home with broken instruments. So that's always really sad. So I think that's the only time that I've ever seen a mishandling was like at the airport. So
instrument maintenance.
yeah.
So, were any of your songs based on real life experiences?
Yeah, almost all of my songs are based on my life experiences. Are you talking about the ones that I've written, like the original ones?
Yeah.
So I think that most of them are based on like little things that happen to me. And then I kind of imagine like a more dramatic version of it, and I'll kind of write about that. Sometimes there are a handful of songs that I will write about someone else's experience, someone close to me that I saw what they were going through. And, I don't know that I asked their permission, but I'll change names or whatever and change it a little bit. But I will sometimes write about other people and how I see them go through something as well.
Want to play one word questions?
really
It
nice.
goes like, I'll give you a word or a this or that question, which you'll have to answer in one word. Let's see how
Okay.
many you can get in a minute. Time
Okay.
starts now.
Who do you say is your biggest role model?
Taylor Swift.
Role model. Describe
Sorry.
your music in one word. Sorry.
I'm not good at this. Relatable.
What would you say is your most prized possession?
My dog.
Which celebrities would you like to collab with in the future?
I think any of the other guitar YouTubers would be really cool.
What is the genre you hate?
Like a music genre, probably like that screamo kind of rock music, Not a big fan.
Understandable. What's one thing you could do all day, every day?
Eat.
Can you describe your personality in one word?
Lighthearted, I guess.
Unfortunately, that was a minute, but
Oh man.
but you did get about 7 questions, which is
Good.
impressive.
Which
Thanks.
is good.
Good.
So now we have some fan questions that your fans asked us. So
Okay.
So, do you
So what?
your fans asked you whether you prefer ice cream or frozen yogurt?
I thought about this question because I saw that one come in. I love ice cream, absolutely, but my stomach can't really handle dairy very well. So frozen yogurt, even though that also has dairy in it, I feel like it's settled a little bit better. So if I want to eat ice cream, it's always going to be like the biggest, best ice cream you've ever seen. Otherwise, if it's just a quick snack or dessert, I'll just get frozen yogurt.
I can
What's your
relate.
favorite dessert and guilt snacks?
My favorite dessert would have to be a freshly baked cookie. So it has to be like right out of the oven, a little bit gooey, but like that best, like chewy, kind of like around the edges with like melty chocolate. Like I will never, ever say no to a freshly baked cookie. But my favorite guilt snacks, I usually, when I snack on things, I'm usually like a salty person snack. So I'll do like chips or like, anything salty, like nuts, that kind of stuff.
Now I'm hungry. So your favorite song right now? What's your favorite song right now?
I think that's a tough question. There's just so many artists and so many songs in the world. I would say at this current moment in time, it would be Dust in the Wind by Kansas, just because I've been really trying to learn how to play that on the guitar. So I've been listening to it a lot. So I guess that counts as a favorite song because I'm listening to it all the time.
Awesome.
What are the
We're all
names of your
curious.
dogs and why did you choose them?
So my dogs' names are Charlie and Ozzy. Is that what you asked me about, the dog names?
Yes.
Yeah. So my dogs' names are Charlie and Ozzy. I chose Ozzy's name because he's an Aussie. So I wanted his name to be Ozzy the Aussie, which is really lame. And then Charlie was actually my husband's dog. And I think he just always wanted a dog named Charlie. So
They're both good
Awesome.
boys.
thanks.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being excellent, how would you rate Phoebe from Friends' method of teaching guitar? By the way, just a disclaimer, we haven't watched Friends, but your fan apparently has.
Oh, okay. I love Friends. I've seen every episode at least like 10 times. Phoebe's method of teaching guitar is very interesting. So if you haven't seen it, she names all of her chord shapes like bear claw and stuff like that. I would rate it probably a 7, just because it maybe is not the most like helpful way to learn guitar, but it's definitely very fun.
Nice.
Yes, very nice. You also teach how to play the piano.
I actually don't really know how to play the piano. I have a few songs memorized and I know the mechanics, like I know how to read the notes and all that stuff. But if you were to give me a piece of sheet music and have me play it, like it would take me a very long time to learn that and be fluent at it. So no, I have no plans to ever teach piano on my channel.
Okay. So how long have you been playing the guitar, and can you play any other instruments besides the piano? I mean, can't play the
Kind of. I've been playing the guitar for almost 20 years now, because I started when I was about 14. And I can play the violin as well. That one was actually my first instrument. I started that when I was 3. And then, I don't know, I guess like the recorder counts. Everyone in America, like we play recorders at school. So like that kind of counts because I can play that pretty well. And then, yeah, a little bit of piano. If you give me long enough to learn a song, I could probably play it eventually. So
Could you give your best tips to stay motivated when you're failing as a beginner?
The best way to stay motivated. I think as a beginner, you have to really give yourself a lot of grace. You have to realize like beginners at anything are going to struggle. Like there's a lot of stuff you've never had to learn before. You've never had to overcome before. And so I think beginners have this mindset of, oh, I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to be the best ever. And you really have to give yourself time and remind yourself that everybody needs time to grow their skills. So if there's any beginner guitarists out there struggling, I would just say, you know, give yourself grace, realize that you're learning something brand new. It's going to take time. And just remember every day when you're practicing, like compliment yourself on the little things that you do well, you know what I mean? And I think if you stay positive about it, it'll help you accomplish better, bigger things later on.
Awesome. That's very good advice.
Thank you.
How long did it take for you to fully learn how to play the guitar?
You know, that's a tough question as well. I would say that right now in my life, I wouldn't say that I fully know how to play the guitar because I just recently started learning electric guitar. And there's actually a lot of techniques that you use for that you don't use for acoustic. And so in general, I would say like, I would say that people should never believe that they're fully good at anything. Like, right? Like we should always leave room for improvement and know that there's always something new to learn. I'm very much of that mindset. So I can't really answer that question just because I don't think that I have fully learned guitar. But if you're talking about like beginner stuff, like able to play some songs and things like that, it really just depends on how much you practice. Once you memorize the chords and then you can transition between them, I think that's the biggest hurdle. So I don't know, maybe like a few months.
So speaking of practice, one of your fans have asked, saying, how do I motivate myself to practice harder?
I think it's all of us have like a reason, right? Like when we start something new, unless your parents force you to do it or something. But like if you have an internal reason of why you wanted to do something, I think that you should remind yourself when things get hard, like why you wanted to do this in the first place. If you wanted to learn guitar, there must be a reason. Maybe there's like a celebrity or something you look up to. Maybe you just want to be musical. Maybe you want to write your own songs. Like try to remember that and keep that in the forefront of your mind when you're practicing. And if you're having trouble like wanting to practice, like revisit what made you think about that in the first place. Like for me, it was like, you know, like Taylor Swift, I love her. So I would listen to her songs and it would re-inspire me to like go back to my guitar and practice some more.
That's very nice.
So how do you deal with work when you have no motivation? This is kind of the same question, but your fan asked it all the same.
Motivation's tough because it has to come from within, right? It's like what I said earlier about being my own boss. Like it is a big adjustment to set that tone, set that pacing for yourself. If you have work to do and you're not motivated to do it, depending on like what it is, right? So if it's like a school project and you have like a hard deadline, you kind of have to just get through that, you know, but if it's something that you're working on for yourself, like I would say, give yourself time and like pace yourself. If you're not feeling well today, or you don't feel like you're really going to do good work, just take the day off and then revisit tomorrow and see if, you know, you feel more motivated to do better.
So
What is the next challenge you want to face?
The next challenge I want to face would be, so like, I guess professionally, my next challenge is obviously now that I'm full-time YouTuber, I'd love to work on growing my channel, reaching a new audience, you know, just things like that. But for a personal thing, I think my next biggest challenge that I'd like to face is, you know, kind of going on like a fitness journey. I've always struggled with, you know, weight gain throughout my life and things like that, and just not having the best diet. And I think at this point in my life, I've gotten to the age where it's really starting to catch up to me. So I would really love to just like embrace like a fitness journey and like, you know, exercise more, eat healthier, and see if I don't feel better like from the inside. So I think that's my next biggest challenge.
that's awesome.
Do you have a
Thanks.
warm-up routine for your guitar practice sessions?
I don't have like a warm-up routine. I would say, I mean, I guess this counts as a routine. I always tune my guitar. It's the very first thing that I do. And then, you know, I'll like kind of check the strings and everything, make sure that it looks good and stuff. But then as far as a routine, not really. I don't like go to the same song every time or anything like that. It's mostly I'll sit down and I'll be working on a specific song for a tutorial or something like that. So no warm up routine. I just kind of like make sure it's in tune.
That's interesting.
Oh,
This is a little personal, but would you ever want to be a parent? If yes, when do you think is the right time?
I think that there's a lot of pressure put on women in society, especially here in America. I feel like, they think when you get to a certain age, you need to get married, you need to have children, like that's the purpose of life, right? And I very much disagree with that. I personally don't have any plans to have children in my lifetime. And I think that a lot of people would see that as like, oh, you're missing out, whatever. But I do believe that, some people are very much wired to want that. Like I know I have so many friends who have been thinking about being a mother, talking about having babies since we were like, early 20s. And now that they've had their children, they're so grateful. They're so wonderful with their kids and they love their life like that. But I just have never had that urge. I've never had that feeling. And so I feel like for people like me who don't think about it all the time, it's not maybe the wisest decision for us to have children anyway. So my answer is no, I don't have plans to have any children.
Thank you so
That's pretty
much for
cool.
that. So that's all we have planned for today. So thank you so much for joining us, Ellen. But before we end our conversation, would you mind telling everybody where they can find you on social media?
Sure, yeah. So you can find me on YouTube at Forever Faithful. The E's in Forever Faithful are the number 3. You can also find me at X Forever Faithful X on Instagram. And those are the 2 social media accounts that I'm most active on that you could get me, the most. I'll be there the most. But also on Facebook, I'm Forever Faithful Music. And on TikTok, I am Forever Faithful. So those are the places you can find me.
nice. Thank you so much once again. We hope to talk to you again soon. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the interview. I had a lot of fun.
Thanks for watching, guys. Also, a small percent of people who are watching are actually subscribed. You probably should subscribe as it really does help us out. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell, like, and share with your friends if you have any, that is.